And then our final speaker, the always fantastic Zhu Min. Andres has complained that we've had too much China, but I don't think you can have too much China in the conversation about the world right now. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what you have to say.
I'm not going to talk about China.
There you go.
You may be disappointed. I feel a little bit of uneasy, not because I'm the lead speaker, but because I don't have my book with me. And everybody is doing a book show here. And so INET, Rob should give me options. Promise me I can bring 2 books come back for next year's conference. This is a section about the challenges. It seems to me the major challenge that the world facing is obviously it's not only the rising of emerging market, it's rather how the rising of emerging market changing fundamentally the global economic structure, and also the challenges the emerging market facing today. So we're going to talk about how the world economic structure is changing and what the driving force behind and what are the main challenges and concerns. Let me start with, as the professor said, the close observations to start with the recovery. The buzzword in the past 3 years about the 2-speed recovery. Yes, we are experiencing 2 different speed of recoveries. In 2009, the world have a negative 0.6% GDP growth rates. Advanced economy even further, negative 3.4%, but emerging market, 2.6% GDP growth rates. Last year, the world had 5% GDP growth rates. The advanced economy had a 3% GDP growth rate, much better than year 2009. Emerging market, 7.1% GDP growth rates. Next year, we're forecasting for 4.4% of global GDP growth rates. Advanced economy, 2.5%. Emerging market, once again, 6.5%. Yes, it is very different 2-speed recovery. Yes, the emerging market always have 2 times GDP growth rates for the advanced economy in the past 10 or 15 years. Yet, this time is different. This time is different because the first time we observe advanced economy has high budget deficits, high government debts, high financial burden, high unemployment rates, low interest rates, and weak growth. It's the first time in history we observe emerging market have a rather lower fiscal deficits, lower government debts, and the lower financial burden, and the lower even unemployment rates, high interest rates, and a strong growth. It's very different. Last year, the world had a negative 5.7 GDP of a fiscal deficit. In advanced economy, in average negative 7.7%. In emerging market, negative 3.8%. In the past 3 years, from 2007 to year 10, in the world total, it's increased government debts from 57% to 71%. But in the advanced economy, it's from 73% of GDP to 96% of GDP. In the emerging market, it's 36% of GDP stand. Looking for the unemployment rate, in the past 2 years in advanced economy, it's in average 8.2% unemployment rate. In emerging market first time, 4%. The trends may stay. Yet, this time is different. Because the first time last year, the emerging market and the low-income country contribute to 70% of GDP growth rates of the world. It's the first time in history the emerging market and low-income country account for 47.8% of global GDP, obviously BBP, PPP measured. In a few years or few months, the emerging market and the low-income country will share 50% of global GDP with advanced economy. It never happens in the past 3 years' histories we have a historian here. Yet, this time it's different. It's different because when the growth is moving away from advanced economy to the emerging market, it's moving away from 1 billion people, which in the advanced economy, to a 3 billion people population growth, which changes the whole picture of the world. What are the economic impacts? I think that the fundamental issue is the growth moving away from 1 billion people moving to 3 billion people is completely changing the whole thing. The first thing is shift, let me use economic term, shift the demand function for the resource. For example, in the oil, last year, 10 years ago, the whole world consumed 28 billion barrels total. Advanced economy consumed 17 billion, and the emerging market consumed only 11 billion. 10 years later, last year, the world consumed total 31 billion barrels of oil. In this time, emerging market consumption for oil increased 50% to become 15.3 billion. Advanced economy consumption for oil even a little lower, 16.5 billion. So become half and half. In copper, 10 years ago, the whole world consumed 15 million tons of copper. Among those, 10.4 million tons consumed by advanced economy, and emerging market consumed only 4.7 million tons. 10 years later, the whole world consumed 19.5 million tons of copper. Within them, advanced economy consumption for copper even decreased to 7.6 million tons. Emerging market consumed 11.9 million tons. Within 10 years, what the drive force behind these three things? The first thing is the manufacturing moving away from advanced economy to the emerging market, which is a substitute effect for consumption for copper and oil. The second thing is because the manufacturing moving away, there's infrastructure investments in the emerging market. Now it's moved to the new phase. This time, it's 3 billion people, they raise their living standards, they have more income. It's a household consumption increase, so they demand more copper, more commodity, and energy as well. Because household consumption on power, on housing, on all those electricity things, the cost increase. So that's the reason we forecast that in 5 years horizon, 2015, the world consumption for copper probably will be 33 million tons, but among them, advanced economy consume roughly 8.3 million tons. Emerging market will consume 25.4 million tons. Why big jump? Because it's consumption for copper moving away from manufacturing to household. That's the whole thing changing the demand function. It's also changing the demand on food. Historically, we have a historian here. In the process for development, if income per capita raises $15,000, per capita consumption for beef, or for in general meat increase. We saw that in Japan. When South Korea reached $15,000 per capita GDP, their consumption on meat increased 2 times as high as Japanese consume. Yes, USA, Korean people like kimchi and the beef barbecue stuff. They eat more beef. But today, in China, per capita GDP only $5,000, much lower than that. Per capita GDP consumption for meat equivalent to South Korea per capita GDP consumption for meat at the level $15,000 per capita. So that's the reason the price of rice has stabilized, not changed very much. It's still $5 per ton. The price of wheat increased roughly 18%. The price of a soybean increased almost 100% because they feed animals. They changed the whole agriculture structure, changed the whole demand function for food and for agriculture products. For example, maybe I should cut some example. I don't have very much time left. Let me quickly come up with a few other things I think is also important. For example, the manufacturing were located globally because previously the high capital intensive manufacturing is mostly manufacturing in the advanced economy, and the emerging market only manufacture low tech manufacturing. That will change because advanced economy will not be able to support the heavy capital intensive manufacturing to support the 3 billion people's need for the low-tech, middle-tech, and high-tech manufacturing. The global manufacturing will change. For example, the global financial structure will change. Much talk about the capital flow. I do have different views. Yes, emerging markets today account roughly 47.8% of global GDP, but they only account 19% of global financial assets. So the money goes with the growth. We observed that 15, 20 years ago, FDIs moved into the downhill to the emerging market. Before the crisis, we see the liquidity and also FDI monies move into the emerging markets. We saw the official flow up here go to the treasury market. And they will change. Because first time, we observe portfolio investments massively moving away from advanced economy into the emerging market. And we observe the uphill, not observe, but we expect to see the uphill capital flow to the treasury market will slow down. Because the whole global trade pattern will change. When emerging markets become the global growth force, they demand more, they consume more. So probably, end of the day, the advanced economy will export to emerging market. The current account balance situation will be complete different. So what's the capital flow? There are many things I can talk about that, but I probably will stop here because I will see really fundamental change and we'll follow that. But most important things, I think the trend probably will remain because it's very simple. We saw advanced economy has a much burden and it's not easy for advanced economy to pick up as a growth. And more importantly, we thought the emerging market more and more will become the growth engine because it's very simple. In the emerging market, first time, the demand is much bigger than production. In the United States, last year, the demand only increased 1.5%, but production increased 3.3%. That means the US no longer the global consumption power and the demand drive force. In the other way, in China or in, for example, Asia together, demand increased 12.7%, production increased roughly 10%. So Asia roughly produces 2.7% of GDP of the demand for the whole world. That trend will keep. I think those are really fundamental changes, but given the time limitation, I can give you 10 different stories, but I will stop here. But I will spend another minute or half, if I may, to talk about challenges emerging market face. We observe the change. But change, particularly for this structure change, will not automatically happen. The whole emerging market growth model is external demand driven because it's trade driven. When demand from trade, it's much easier for emerging market to follow. You just follow. You move labor resource from non-tradable sector to the tradable sector. Your tradable sector change your structure, follow the global structure change demand. Whole thing is driven by demand. Now demand is gone. So whole emerging market have to move into the internal structure change-driven growth model. All the history experience tell us structure change will never automatically happen. And also there are a few very important issues for example, and for emerging market, the catch-up game really changes. So you have to base more and more on R&D, on innovational and creative way to growth. And also, it's very important for emerging markets to learn the lessons from this financial crisis. Take the current window opportunities, they have more resource to build the pension systems, to build the Medicare systems for the futures, and to avoid all the mistakes we observed today. And the financial sector reform also very important, which is very much delayed. And until the emerging market have a very strong and healthy and a big financial market, we don't see the growth will be sustainable. And there are many things I think is important for the emerging market to be very careful. But the most important issue is the issue how to carefully manage the growth or development in the sense balance the industry structure, the employment structure, a balanced economic, social balance, and as what we discussed in the lunch, environmental balance. And obviously, emerging market need much more effective or efficiency energy technology and go to more miles on the pollution and the environmental protection methods. It's all those challenges facing for the emerging market. Of course, on top of that is for the institutional rebuilding. So there's a lot of things I think the emerging market facing today if they want to sustain the current trends and really moving into the next phase. It's a daunting challenges for emerging market. To conclude, I would say world is changing. The world will continuously change. But direction is not all clear yet. That's the reason we need the INET. That's the reason we need all you here. Thank you.